Hi.
There's my friend Lillian.
All righty, and we're live on
I just took you out now.
no, on YouTube. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Okay, my friends and gems, here we are live now on both YouTube and Zoom. Thank you for joining in. I see Beatrice, Carol, Myra Stapleton, and we have a guest that's at a 949 number ending in 3282. So thank you for joining in. I'm going to go ahead and I don't know where some of the noise is coming from. So for right now, I'm going to mute you guys. And Carol, before I forget, the wellness superheroes, they want to interview you to share your story, soup to nuts. So I told them that I would let you know because you would most likely be on this 7 o'clock Zoom. And my friends and gems, thank you for tuning in. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get started talking about cellular activation. We're turning on your master smart cells. I don't typically wear the patch on my forehead. You don't have to wear it on your forehead. I was just being cheeky today at my 2 o'clock, and then I never took it off. I just left it on. I'm like, what the heck? Because I like the fact that it's activating my pineal gland, even though this patch doesn't have the geometrical formation for that, but the energy is activating right there, where your pineal gland's only a few inches behind, right? So it's definitely going to affect it. So with that being said, I want to answer any questions that you might have. We're going to take the first 10 minutes. We're going to do that. And then we'll go ahead and do a deep dive into what the patches are, how they work, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. So does anybody here have a question that you want to start off with? And let's see, Myra, I see you here, and I see Beatrice as well. If no one is raising their hands and no one is unmuting themselves, and I'll go ahead and get into the presentation. I'm going to do a quick little, I know that we are right at sunset, so I know that it's about to get a little bit darker. So I'm just going to turn on these lights, which I turned off earlier. I'm going to turn them on real quick, okay?
Beatrice, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself.
Okay.
Good. She'll be back. There.
Yeah, I want to listen to everything she has to say before
you have your questions.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, well, I'm going to mute myself again, too.
Okay, Carol.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and we'll get started here, and we will talk about this incredible life-saving technology. Before we move on to the nitty-gritty of that, we're going to skip over this. We're going to talk about our disclaimer first. The patches, of course, are not intended to treat, prevent, or cure any disease. We do not heal, cure, treat, or diagnose, nor do we offer any protocols. The suggestions do not replace the diagnosis and treatment by a qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend you consult with your doctor concerning your specific health challenge and treatment needed. Just as another FYI, there's no medical claims that are being made with these suggestions herein. I'm a holistic care practitioner. I repattern people's brains from physical and emotional trauma. I use this life-saving technology, these patches, to help expedite the repair, the regeneration in the body. And it's a very efficient and effective tool. And you'll learn more about that during this next hour that we'll be here together. The other thing is there's been a few little changes. We used to be able to talk pretty much about everything, but there's been so many changes in the last 4 years. And our patches are made in registered FDA registered facilities. And so they come visit us every other fall, actually, every 2 years we get visited. So this last fall in August, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration took a new position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from natural products, will be regarded as drug claims. That was a news flash. The FDA also asserts that claiming that the use of light to elevate peptides, such as GHKCU copper peptide, is inappropriate for a general wellness product. They get to make the rules. so we get to follow them. So as a result, we can't say that, although we have 90, it's almost 100, 90 independent clinical studies done in the United States, Europe, and Asia. That kind of covers the majority of the world. And it proves that, not to mention we have over 120 global, not just patents for the US, global patents that are approved in 82 countries that actually prove that we actually activate our original master smart cells by activating GHKCU copper peptide in the body. So I will tell you what we can say and what we can't say, so you have full disclosure. So before we get into the patches, let's go back in history, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, 5 decades ago. Yes, it was that long ago that in 1973, Dr. Lauren Picard discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activated a third of your previously dormant stem cells. That's incredible. I can't imagine what he must have thought when he was playing around with his flasks and his petri dishes and his microscopes and just checking everything out and doing all sorts of concoctions, and then going, wait a minute. Oh my gosh, I actually turned on a third of previously dormant stem cells by using GHKCU copper peptide. OMG. And I'm sure he repeated he's still alive. I'm hoping to reach out to him and actually have him come on and just have him share with us that first time experience when he realized that he turned on 33% of previously dormant stem cells by using GHKCU copper peptide. Oh my gosh. And that, as you guys know, it's a metal, because copper is a metal. This is not copper, the mineral. So for people who are wondering, oh, I probably won't be able to use this because I'm allergic to copper, this is copper peptide. Everybody's body has copper peptide in it, okay? Just like everybody's body has cells, everybody's body has electrons, has electrolytes. It's just a given. All your bodies have blood. So the thing is that since 1973, we've had over 2,000 studies that have duplicated the effects of getting GHKCU copper peptide to turn on 1/3 of previously dormant stem cells. So let's talk about what is a stem cell, because a lot of people have never heard of these master smart cells. They're this is like the master blueprint, the master smart blueprint programming that has been there since you were conceived. And what are stem cells? Because it's not the same as all the cells that you have over the rest of your body. These are pluripotent cells. That means that pluri means plural as opposed to singular. So there's many potentials, because potent comes from the word potentials. So these are your master smart cells. It's the original blueprint, which when you were conceived in your mother's womb, you had your mother's ovum, and then you had your father's, he was competing with 16 million sperm, and then you had mighty sperm that made it to your mother's ovum. At conception, now you had 23,688 genes and stem cells to begin forming you in your mother's womb. And so that rapid multiplication and cellular division to begin to grow you into an embryo with all the body parts that you needed. One of the first things in the first 6 to 8 weeks was your little heartbeat. Before your brain was even formed, your little heartbeat, which we can evidence at about the 6 to 8 week mark. Between the 6th and the 7th week, we all start off as women. We have that X chromosome. And then in that 6th to 7th week, then that Y chromosome comes into place if you're going to be a man, if you're going to be a male. You keep on growing from an embryo, you grow into a fetus, and then 36 to 40 weeks later, you're born. And now you are a newborn baby. And now you and I take a few trips around the sun. You blink our eyes a few times. We're on the Zoom. And when you're 30 years old, just the tender age of 30, there's something really quite spectacular that happens. But before I tell you what happens at the age of 30, let me give you a little FYI for your information. Or a 411. Basically, when you're just 25 years of age, I remember when I was 25, I was just barely getting used to having an adult body. You're 25 years old, and then your fibroblasts, you're unaware, you don't feel anything different, but there is a change that's going on in your body. And that fibroblasts, they start to drop in their production of collagen in your body. in anticipation of you turning 30, because at 30 years of age, I think you'll be really surprised to learn and to discover that 50% of your original master smart cells, they turn off. They haven't been damaged. They haven't disappeared. They're not destroyed. They simply go dormant. They're just going to sleep until you apply a cell activation patch. The moment you apply a cell activation patch, 33% of those previously dormant master cells turn back on. For every decade that you're alive after 30, more and more stem master smart cells turn off. By the time you're 60, 90% turn off. So you only have 10% that have been there from conception to 60 years of age. That 10% of that remodeling, rebuilding crew that's remodeling your interior and exterior home is going to take you to the finish line until you pass away, till you take your last breath, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 116, however old it is that you will get up to, right? Until you apply a cell activation patch. So let's talk about your body, because your body is your temporary housing unit. And if you look at inside the body, your stem cells, your master smart cells, are very much like printer ink cartridges in your copy machine. And when you go to make a copy, color or black and white doesn't matter. Your copy is indistinguishable from the original when you have 100% of your ink. But when you've used up 70, 80, 90% of the ink in any one of those ink cartridges, now your copies are very faded versions. You could see that your color copies are very light and faded. They're the big difference between the original and the copy. The same thing with the black and white copies. That black print, oftentimes when you only have 20 or 10% left of your ink, it's not even black or gray. It's sometimes even like a pinkish color, because it's that little of the ink that is still remaining there that can actually effectuate a copy. Same thing is true with your stem cells, with your master smart cells, because you have missing information when you only have 10% of your stem cells, of your master smart cells left as you continue on and as you age. That is, until you apply a cell activation patch. So how do these patches work? So let me give you the short version. The short version is your body is the battery. It's the energy source that makes this mechanical device work. This patch is just simply a mechanical device to redirect energy to activate a third of your previously dormant stem cells. So your body has all infrared light inside of it. Our 56 trillion cells in the body all have electrons. Your blood flow, your cerebral spinal fluid that is not just contained in your head, because your brain is sitting in this this cerebral spinal fluid, we call it CSF, but it also goes down your spinal cord, down your back, and it oscillates. It actually rotates. Within a 24-hour period, it's supposed to oscillate 2 cycles, starting from your brain, going down your back, up your front, back up to your head, twice in a 24-hour period. Only exception to that is for people who are meditators, who do the breathing with meditation. Then for every deliberate breath, there's a specific way of breathing that will make that happen 6 to 8 times in an hour. That's the other exception, which is why it's so beneficial to meditate. So back to the energy inside of your body. All the 56 trillion cells, every molecule has electrons in them, and your blood and your cerebral spinal fluid all have electrolytes. Electrons and electrolytes are packets of electricity. So you are a light being, quite literally. And the spectrum of light is the infrared light spectrum. So this patch, as soon as you put it on your body, it's behaving just like a mirror, and it's going to reflect back that infrared light into your body. So the easiest way to think about this is think about a diamond crystal. If I were to take a flashlight and I were to flash the light onto the crystal diamond, it's going to reflect back that light so that I see with my eyes all those sparkling colors coming back at me from the prisms of the diamond. Same thing is true with this cell activation patch. That white dot that you see there in the middle, it's not just a white like Band-Aid. That is a grid lattice work of organic sugar crystals, organic salt crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, water crystals, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids, all of which are arranged very precisely in a specific grid and lattice work. And each one of those crystals have been programmed with a specific frequency. So the moment that you apply this patch, it activates a third of your previously dormant master smart cells. So let's go on and talk about this process that I just described to you of the light from your body bouncing off of this crystal lattice and reflecting, being mirrored back up to 4 inches deep in your body through your muscles, tendons, ligaments, cartilage, through the bone, into the bone marrow, down to the cellular level. That redirection of light is called photobiomodulation. Photobiomodulation. Boy, that's a big word. Photo means light. Bio, biological. We're biological beings. Modulation simply means movement and change. So this is wearable light technology. Some of you are thinking, oh, this is brand new. We've never, no. Humans have been using photobiomodulation for well over 100 years, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. So let's talk about phototherapy as a general category. It has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, and the patches have been specifically developed to reflect light, as I mentioned before, in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin wherever the patches have been placed, as you can see here on my forehead. Supported by normal electrodermal skin conductance, the human body gives off a number of little materials biochemically, including particulate release, which is just tiny little particles, gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, near infrared, and visible spectrum light. This then stimulates that area of the skin, producing improved physiological effects. So variations on this phototherapy have been used for at least, actually it's well over 100 years, and I'll show that to you in a moment. And in that time, there's been very little evidence of any negative side effects because you're activating your own body's original blueprint. So more of you, we're literally, when we patch people and when you patch yourself, you're literally turning yourself on. More light is running through you. So let's talk about the first documented use of photobiomodulation. That was 1895. Get out of town. Yes, 1895. We're in 2024. So it's not at the beginning of the 2000s, not the beginning of the 1900s. This was in the late 1800s. Science, as you may or may not know, science is the contemporary language of mysticism. The mystics, the ancients, have known for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000 years. The Egyptians, the Incas, the Mayas, the Buddhists, the Taoists, the Shaolin monks have been using photobiomodulation and have documented that in their stones and so forth. However, it's only been in the last 300 years that we have organized science the way you and I know it today. And so the first documented use was in 1895 by a gentleman named Niels Rybert Vincent. And in 1903, he won the Nobel Prize for his research on using red light to treat tuberculosis, TB, to treat TB of the skin. And in his experiments with mice, he found that exposing them to red light reduced both their symptoms and their mortality rate from lupus vulgaris. Imagine that. That was before the turn of the century, the last century, not this century. That's pretty amazing if you think about it. Now, that sets the foundation, the bedrock, the cornerstone, if you will, for this technology to be in my possession and soon to be in your possession if you have not started on the patches yet. So let's talk about something I want you to notice is that these patches are made in FDA-registered facilities. These are non-transdermal. What does that mean? Well, let's give you a contrast point. So in contrast, these are non-transdermal. Non-transdermal means that nothing transfers into the skin because there's no medicine, there's no drugs. The crystals that are here, even though they're organic, they're not intended for you to be absorbing them through your skin, and they're not absorbed by the skin. They are just a mechanical structure to reflect back your infrared light into the body. So nothing transfers into the dermis, which is the skin, which means they're also non-invasive. Nothing invades the skin. Again, the sugar, the amino acids, the hydrogen, the oxygen, the water crystals, they don't get absorbed by your skin. They're organic, they're holistic, FDA compliant class 1 medical devices under the big umbrella of general wellness. And we manufacture, like I mentioned before, our products in FDA registered facilities in the United States and in Europe, and specifically in Ireland. It's registered with the Irish Medicine Board, and we manufacture our products to the same standards as a medical device. In fact, our facility in Ireland is ISO 9001 and 13485 compliant. And those are, in fact, quality standards. Super important. General wellness, everybody needs to know. We've known this in not just in collegiate athletics, Olympic athletics, but people in the general health and wellness field have known for over 50, 60, 70 years that it's at the cornerstone of health and well-being. You need water. You need to drink good, clean, healthy, structured water, preferably 50% your body weight in fluid ounces of water. For those of you who are thinking, oh, I hate to drink water, I don't think that's that big a deal. Let me tell you, it's a huge deal. When you came from your mother's womb where you were literally swimming in an amniotic sac, you were breathing and exhaling water. You come out of your mother's womb pretty juicy. You're about 82% water when you're born. And if you fast forward to about 60 years of age, of course, the level of hydration drops down to about 55% when you are about 60, 65 years old. But your DNA from conception all the way till you go to the very end, it's 92% water. And things in your body begin to shrink. They begin to shrink and shrivel when you get dehydrated. That is not a good thing. Think about, I don't know about you, but I have an allergy to wrinkles. And if I don't have to have wrinkles, if I keep hydrated, I'm not going to have as many wrinkles as somebody who's very dehydrated. You look at a plum that's dehydrated, what do you call that? A prune. A prune is just a plum that lacks water. So one of the first things that when you become dehydrated, at 2% dehydration, your mouth will get thirsty. You will feel parched in the mouth. But your brain is very hydrophilic, very water-loving. So your brain is one of the first things that shrink as soon as you become dehydrated. Not a good thing, considering that that's your central processing unit that gives orders and commands to your entire body. Take better care of your brain. Keep hydrated. 50% your weight and ounces of water from the time you get up until you go to sleep is what's required. You still don't think that that's important? Well, another news flash for you. When you're dehydrated, we have proteins in the body. That's one of the catalysts to signal all sorts of things in your body. When you're dehydrated, your proteins fold in half, literally fold in half. So I don't know about you, but if I were told, or if something were to happen to me that I had to be folded in half, where my head would be now at my knees, guess what? I would not be able to do the Zoom. I would not be able to work. I would not be able to go to the bathroom. I would not be able to take a bath. I would not be able to feed myself. Can you imagine being upside down, trying to eat and try to get the food to go against gravity? All sorts of problems there. Your proteins have the same challenge. When they're folded in half, instead of being upright the way they belong, they don't work right. So that's the beginning. It's the genesis of disease and the malfunction of an organ and organ systems of the body. That's why it's so important to drink water. But wait till I reveal to you another thing before I get to that point, which I think will be very surprising to you, is that I told you how your DNA, every DNA strand that you have inside your body, those are energy amplifiers because your DNA is 92% water. So the primary thing that composes your DNA is water. Only 8% is other, 92% is water. Water is what holds up the structure of your DNA strands. So check this out. I'm going to show you what it looks like to have somebody properly hydrated. And I think you'll be really alarmed, probably horrified, when you see what happens to someone who's not properly hydrated. So here you see a proper helix strand. You see that beautiful, helix, that figure 8. It's that ladder. And you see that it's standing tall, stable, erect, the way it should be. It can work properly because it's properly hydrated. To my right, we have an individual who is 8% dehydrated. I already told you what happens at 2% dehydration. At 8% dehydration, your DNA unravels. You can see that this is unraveling and it's starting to fall apart. Again, that's the beginning of disease in the body because the proteins are folded, things don't work right. There's something called a Krebs cycle that is interrupted when your proteins fold as a result of dehydration. Not a good thing. 10% dehydration, you lose your mind. I told you your brain is hydrophilic. Your brain cannot function when you have 10% dehydration. So you lose your mind. You cannot think. You get to 12% dehydration, you're dead. Game over, lights out, nothing works. You've got like cement. Your body is like, it's like cement. Nothing can move inside there. Heart system shut down. You don't want to get to that point. So my recommendation, you do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But for those of you who are going, well, I really just don't really like the taste of water, well, figure it out. Because if you're only going to be drinking things that have flavoring in them, let me tell you this. I've had people who've asked me, oh, can I use, tea in place of drinking water? Will that count? I said, well, let me ask you this. When you go to wash your hair and take a bath, would you take a bath in tea? Like, well, of course not. I go, well, why not? Well, because I wouldn't be clean. Exactly. Your body needs clear water. Your DNA needs clear water. Your brain needs clear water, not dead water that's been put in the microwave either. It needs to be good spring water, preferably have it structured. If you don't know what that is, YouTube it, Google it. We can have a conversation about it. I've talked about it plenty before on my YouTube channel. But the bottom line is this: you want to have good quality water because that has to do with the foundational building blocks of your livelihood. Okay. So super, super important. How long are you going to wear these patches? So we recommend that you wear the patches every day, 12 hours on, 12 hours off for the next 12 months. Without being on the patches, your body is naturally on a 7-year cycle where the youngest cell in your body is milliseconds old, not even a full second old. The oldest cells in your body, of the 56 trillion that are running and coursing through your body right now, is about 7 years old. If you look at your body, the cells that you have in your body were not here 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years ago. Everything is 7 years or less. And you have about 2 billion that turn over every day just as is. But when you put a cell activation patch on, now you have a much more rapid restoration and
What happened, Lillian? Did your system go out? Hang on, everybody. This has happened to her system. What happened?
Okay, so it looks like my internet connection dropped. So
Yeah,
as
that's what I thought.
yeah. So I was about to say that I did have, even though it takes time, because everybody's body has something different that's going on in it. But I did have somebody who within 24 hours, the scar that he had on his arm, he's somebody who's in the military, a veteran, and his scar reduced by 50% within the first 24 hours, which I was like, wow, that's the fastest I've heard. I've had quite a few people who've had firsts, and I should see if I can show you guys his particular, because I thought, and then that later that week, that was Brad. Later that week, the scar got lighter and lighter and lighter. So here he is, let me see. Here's his scar, and it shrunk 50%. He sent that to me. And then look how it's lighter. And it just kept on shrinking. Lighter and shrinking and shrinking. And for me, I had that experience. I didn't notice that it shrank. Mine did not shrink 50%, but I had a very long scar that went from my ankle to my knee. What I noticed was that in the first 4 months, the first thing in the first month was that the scar did go flat because it was raised before. And in the first 4 months, it shrunk. Probably, if I had to give it a number, I would say it probably shrunk like maybe 40 to 50. And then the bone, because the scar was right along my shin bone. And so my bone was wiggly, you know, from that scar and from the damage that was done during when I got hit by a bus, right? That was one of the injuries that I sustained. But by the 4th month, the bone had filled in, which is kind of amazing if you think about it, that in 4 months, the bone could fill in. You would think that would take at least a year, but it didn't. 4 months, it filled in. The scar was flat and then it shrunk and it went from kind of a thicker, darker, purplish brown color to just brown and flat. And then it started lightening up to a tan, to a lighter tan, to a lighter tan. And it just kept on shrinking, 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 shrinking to, I'd say about maybe at the 7th or 8th month, I probably only had this big of a scar left that wasn't really that obvious. It was not a continuous line anymore. It was like light dashes of tan color. Till by the 14th month, it was, I'd say 98 to 99% gone. I still have some little discoloration, but it's not 100%, but you can't see a scar there anymore. So I went 5 years where I couldn't really wear dresses, like, which now I'm like, fine, I don't have any issues like going out in public, seeing those things. Let me, because we got kicked off, go back to sharing this again. Okay, here we go again. So the bottom line is you're going to be wearing the patches 12 hours on every day for the next 12 months. After that, you stop wearing the patches when you no longer want to reverse the damages from whatever toxins you have from whatever the cause of the toxins are, doesn't matter. Whether you ate it, smelled it, absorbed it through your skin, whether you injected it, whether it was done to you, whether it was an accident, whether you had a surgery that went wrong or a surgery that went right, but it's still very painful, doesn't matter. Basically, the good news is that you can unring the bell of damage no matter what the cause is that caused you that pain and that grief. Here is a gal who had scoliosis. We don't make any medical claims, but this is her results after just 4 weeks of wearing the patches. You can clearly see that she has a pretty pronounced curvature of the spine. Her shoulder blades are sticking out far more than normal. Her right shoulder is lower than the left. You can see that she's favoring her left to her right because of the curvature of her spine. She had terrible back pain, by the way. And so you can see that she's wearing the mother cell activation patch here, and then Ice Wave, which is the only patch we have that doesn't repair anything, but it does turn off your pain receptors. So it has the therapeutic effect of turning off pain receptors while the mother cell activation patch is actually doing the cellular repair and correcting the bones and replacing the bones and cartilage and tendons and ligaments and everything in between. You can see that after 4 weeks, look at how balanced her shoulders are. Look at how the shoulder blades are no longer protruding the way they were before. And now she has a nice hourglass figure. She's more in balance. Needless to say, she didn't have any more pain after the first month of her being on the patches. Next, we have this gentleman who had a challenge with the regulation of melatonin in his skin. In short order, this is what he looked like when he began on the patches. And a year later, took a year for all of that chemistry to make its way, because your pineal gland is what creates melatonin, and it has to do with this. Your eye is not just a camera for looking at objects and videoing everything or taking snapshots. It's actually a circadian rhythm oscillator. That means that it's something that's oscillating, means that it's like a fan. It's moving all the time, and it's constantly setting the circadian rhythm of not just your melatonin and your serotonin, which is melatonin to put you to sleep, serotonin to wake you up, but also the circadian rhythms of all the different organ systems of the body. Super important. And that's done through your eye and also the photoreceptors on your skin. So it took about a year for him to clear this all up. But the good news is that it was cleared up. The alternative was that it was just going to get worse. And in his case, not only did that melatonin get regulated, and other things that were obviously repaired in the body. Here, what we can see from the outside is obviously the coloration of his skin, because melatonin not only gives you your skin pigment color, also the color of your eyes, color of your hair, but melatonin is also like the primary master antioxidant for detoxifying the body from all metals. Super important. So here you go. You see his results. Next, you see Kathy, who had her neck and her chest had basically just wrinkles, which is evidence of oxidative stress. But really, Kathy's big pain point was her autoimmune disorder from her breast implants. She had 3 breast implants, not all at the same time, just 3 of them over the years. And for 33 years, she suffered with autoimmune disorder. And she had lots of aches and pains and a lot of very unpleasant symptoms. And she traveled all over the country looking for experts that could help her with resolving this autoimmune disorder that she had, with no luck, very little improvement. That is until she got started on the cell activation patches. So in January of 2022, our mutual friend Annie, got her started on the patches, and here she goes. She got started on the patches, and she would not take a picture of her face at the time. But this is the condition of her neck and her chest, and you can see how she had a generous improvement from March to June. All the wrinkles are gone in June, 6 months on the patches. She was 62 when she started on the patches, January of 2022. By July, no fine lines, no wrinkles, all of that gone, not to mention all of her symptoms from her autoimmune disorder from those breast implants, all of it gone. I probably could, I think I showed last time, if you guys would like, at the end here, I will show you a video clip of the Zoom that I did with her, which I did put on my YouTube channel. Recently, I also even did a YouTube short about that, and I can share that with you if you guys want to see that. You will see that this is not a photoshopped picture. This is actually what she looks like. You'll see in the video that she has no wrinkles in her chest, her neck, her face. She's 64 now. When we did that video, it was last year, she was 63. She looks like she's 35, 40 years old to me. And I think it's really quite astounding that she had inside and outside of her body that significant amount of improvement. My story, we're not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but you can see that I have a laundry list of all sorts of neurological conditions and all sorts of very unpleasant things that happened when I was 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride. I got hit on the back lower left of my head and my lower back, and I suffered brain damage. Yep, you're looking and talking and listening to someone who wasn't permanent, because obviously I don't have it anymore. Had brain damage. I no longer have brain damage. My memory is better than it's ever been in my entire life. In fact, even better than when I was pre-med at USC. And there's a story behind that. We won't get into that today. But I recovered all of my short-term memory better than before and got rid of all these neurological conditions. Within 4 months, I had softer, silkier hair, because you can clearly see here. It's kind of hard to tell that I lost 50% of my hair, but I had. And my hair was dry, coarse, and brittle, and I still had a massive bald spot on the back of my head in this picture. Here, I no longer have that bald spot on the lower back. That was 5 years. None of the lotions, none of the potions, nothing that even compound pharmacy formulas that were organic and holistic specifically designed for me, none of them got them to grow back. But the patches, when I got on the patches in the first 4 months, 70% hair growth and about 3 to 4 inches of hair per my hairdresser, because he's the one who's like, wow, he goes, you don't have a bald spot back here anymore. He goes, wow. He goes, you have about 70% of hair growth and you have about 3 to 4 inches of length. I was like, wow. So over the course of the year, now it's all completely filled in, because that's been over. I was going to say in the 14th month is when it was, I want to say complete, if it ever can be complete, because I still notice, like just the last several months, I noticed that I was having new hair growth just in the front of my hair. So in some of these broadcasts, I would look in the mirror before I'd come out, and then it'd look fine there. And I'd sit here and you could see all these little hairs sticking up. I'm like, oh my gosh, the little baby hairs that are growing in now. I'm like trying to get them to like settle down. It's getting better now, but I'm like, that's good news. That means I've got hair growth all over my scalp, not just back where I definitely needed it. So The good news is that all this laundry list of stuff, I don't have that plaguing me anymore. I don't have any aches or pains. My back isn't crunchy anymore. I have if anything, my back feels rubbery. That the constant pain, all of that is gone. So that's the good news. Here's somebody else who also had curvature of the spine, so severe that she had a fold of flesh on the left, which you can see how she's definitely tweaked. And in less than 2 months, the curvature of her spine, she doesn't have a perfectly straight spine, but in the first month, she had pain relief. Actually, in the first week, she had pain relief. And within 2 months, her curvature of her spine was significantly improved. And you can also see that the folded flesh is gone. And you can also see the texture of her skin. She had a lot more freckles, a lot more moles, a lot of angiomas, which are the little red. You see here, she had little red, they're like red moles that are filled with blood. She has a lot less here. And the skin texture, which is oxidative stress, that's where you get the skin texture from, and cholesterol spots. That's all from oxidative stress. Look at how much more clear it is after just 2 months. So that is possible. There's all sorts of infinite possibilities. When you restore 1/3 of your previously master smart cells, you turn them back on. So again, little reminder, oh, by the way, remember to drink your water from the time you get up. I like to tell people, women are always into more women than not, I think, have a problem with being overweight than underweight. And they always want to increase and speed up their metabolism so they can burn more calories. And the truth is that if you were to get up in the morning and you had your bottled water next to your bedside when you woke up, and before you run to the bathroom, if you were to drink water, room temperature water, you drink it until you're satisfied and then go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, shower, do your business, that would activate your metabolism and starts to speed it up. And it breaks the fast of not having been hydrated and from the night before. So that is something that you can do to help your metabolism, help regulate your glucose levels in your body, which everybody has issues with. The thing to note is that a 150-pound person, if you divide that by 2, that's 75. That would be 75 ounces of water that you would drink from the time you get up until you go to bed at night. You always drink until you're satisfied. And 75 ounces, that's 5, of those Sparkletts water, Arrowhead water. It's about 5 of those a day. You can easily do 2 in the morning, 1 when you first wake up, later morning, early afternoon, late afternoon, and then 1 before you go to bed. That's 5 bottles of water. For the average person, that's about 150 pounds. So it is very, very doable. Okay, and you already know, got to keep those proteins and you got to keep that brain properly hydrated, because that got to protect your whole body by protecting your CPU, central processing unit, like your computer, and of course, keeping those proteins properly hydrated so that they can work. So this, what I'm wearing here on my forehead, that's the X39. We're going to talk about, the short order is we're activating 1/3 of your previously dormant master smart cells, turning them back on, and they do this rapid cellular repair. They replace and repair everything, no exceptions, inside, outside of the body, hair included, nothing is left out, nails, you name it. People, for those of you who want more specifics as to exactly what it is that it's doing, these bullet points are for you. So this regenerates cells, replacing damaged cells with brand new cells, restores collagen, the #1 building block protein of the body, rebuilds scar tissue, reduces fine lines and wrinkles, as you saw with Kathy. Actually, if you look closer to my before and after picture, I used to have crow's feet, and I didn't realize it until I did my before and after picture. I'm like, oh, I didn't even realize that I didn't even know what hooded eyelids were. I'm like, oh, why is it that people say hooded? Well, now I know, because now that I had it and no longer have it, I realized, oh my gosh, I had hooded eyelids. Now it's shrunk back here, so they're not hooded anymore. So that's gone away, which is not anti-aging, that's reverse aging. So reduces fine lines and wrinkles. Yay, mine are gone and getting better and better all the time. Increased energy, increased sexual libido, antioxidants, anti-aging properties, anti-inflammation. If you have pain relief anywhere from 50 to 100% within 3 to 4 minutes of applying this patch. Improved hair growth, and then improved, deeper, sounder sleep. Big game changer for a lot of people. I had horrible insomnia. I mean, it would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in the morning, and I still could not get to sleep. And then finally I would get to sleep 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock. I could only stay asleep for maybe 3 hours, and then I would be up again. And then I was back to only while I was sleeping that I did not have any pain. But I had such loud tinnitus. Oh, and such sensitivity to light. I had so many things that were wrong. I don't have any of that anymore, thank goodness. So I can understand if you have any of those symptoms. We do recommend that you apply these patches on acupuncture points. The patches come with their little informational, it has a little pamphlet. All 90 studies, we told the subjects, all the people who were in the studies were about an average of 50. The most we had in any study was about 120 people that participated in the US, Europe, and in Asia. So governing vessel 14, if you take your dominant hand, whatever hand you write with, touch the back of your neck, touch the bottom of your neck, the top of your spine, you'll notice that first neck bump. That first neck bump is governing vessel 14. That's where your brain stem goes into your spinal column, signals your spinal cord, and that signals your autonomic nervous system. It's sending information all the way throughout your entire body. Very, very powerful acupuncture point. The second spot is 3 finger widths below your belly button. That's conception vessel 6. That has to do with anything related to conception, reproduction, your endocrine system, and your digestive system. So you can put it in either of those 2 spots. But really, better yet, the patches work anywhere you put them on the body. Could be we have actually a governing vessel point right here at the apex of your head, right in the center. It's called the bliss point, is a nickname for it. Some people will put the patches at night. They will wear them right on the bliss point, and it expands their sense of bliss. Works on your scalp, on your hair, not a problem. On the bottom of your feet, works in your entirety, right? The patches are going to work anywhere on the body. So the rule of thumb, because not everybody knows acupuncture or acupressure points, is point to the pain and patch it. If you are having, like my friend Ron had terrible arthritic pain, he actually needed wrist surgery, and he really didn't want to do wrist surgery. He's like, oh, he goes, it seems like it's barbaric what they do just to supposedly, make the pain less, but he was thinking that the recovery from the surgery would probably even be worse than what he was already experiencing. And he could not have a little church lady on Sundays shake his hand without the pain bringing him to his knees. So when he got the patch, he took the patch and immediately he just put it right here on his hand because he had so much hand pain and wrist pain. And within minutes, his pain was gone. He was really astonished. So the long story short is you point to the pain and patch it, and that's a pretty good rule of thumb. This is, again, an organic nanotechnology using photobiomodulation on traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture points, okay? But the patches work everywhere on the body, under your feet, around your fingers. I've had people who broke their fingers. They literally patched their fingers. They just took the patch and put it all the way around their fingers. And within 4 days, Dr. Andrea, she broke her hand, and she's like, you're not going to believe this, Lillian. 4 days ago, I broke my hand. She showed me, I'll have to show you a picture of that as well. We'll show you that to you in a minute if you'd like as well. Again, another reminder to drink your water. Oh, another very important thing. For those of us who are on the patches, we are very fortunate because the rest of you don't know this, but blue light, so the screen that you're watching this presentation on, your desktop, laptop, iPad, notepad, cell phone, doesn't matter. That has blue light. That's man-made blue light, not natural blue light from the sun. Like you get that in the morning hours after sunrise before 10 o'clock in the morning. That man-made blue light destroys your DHEA, fountain of youth hormone. Not good. It also causes inflammation and insulin resistance. But wait, yes, there's more. You also have LED lights in your home, the light bulbs in your lighting fixtures, your lamps, oh my gosh, just look at your kitchen, your refrigerator, your cappuccino maker, your dishwasher, your electric water pot, your microwave, your stove, your oven, your food processor, your Ninja, your bread maker, all have LED lights. Let's go a step further. You get into your car. all LED lights. Oh, you don't spend much time in your car because you travel all the time. The plane full of LED lights. Planes, trains, yachts, boats, Duffy boats, catamarans, all have LED lights. Any place you go out, whether it's a supermarket, whether it's an office, whether it's an industrial building. I don't know about you guys in other countries, but here we have LED lights everywhere. They no longer, like, we cannot buy incandescent bulbs at a regular store. Like myself, I have incandescent bulbs. I buy infrared and clear incandescent bulbs, and I have to order them through Amazon. If it weren't for that, then I would be bombarded with more LED lights. Luckily, I'm on the patches. The patches offset that because it increases and reestablishes your natural DHEA fountain of youth hormone. Again, it's resetting everything from conception, not from birth. A lot of things, you can be exposed to a lot of things while you're in utero or right before birth, during birth, or right after. So it unrings the bell of damage from all those things. So something to think and to know about. Okay, so I want to answer any questions that you guys might have at this time. Myra, whoever 949 is, Carol, do you guys have any questions that I can answer for you before we move on?
No questions. Thank you.
No questions. Okay, fantastic. 949 phone number. Do you guys have any questions? Or if you want to type, if you don't want to be on camera, if you don't want to turn on your camera or can't for whatever reason, but you'd still like to ask a question, you can use the chat feature here. If you're on YouTube, there's only one of me. YouTube. We'll check to see while we're here if anyone is asking on YouTube. Nope, it looks like we're doing good there. So it's just you guys that have questions potentially. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to get into the cost factor. So the $62 million question, people always want to know, well, but how much does it cost? Well, listen, we're not going to charge you $1 million because although a lot of people would be willing to pay $1 million to, you know, heck, for people who've been in wheelchairs for any length of time, doesn't matter if it's been 11 weeks or 11 years or the majority of their life, they pay $1 million to get out of the wheelchair, be able to walk. Someone who's been blind, who can't see, would gladly pay. I'd rather forego the $1 million and be able to see than have $1 million in the bank. But traditional stem cell therapies run anywhere from $8,000 to $25,000 a session for an IV. And you don't really know if you have donor stem cells. Well, you're taking the good with the bad because you've got somebody else's DNA that's there. You don't know if they have any kind of a proclivity of something that perhaps you might not want to activate in you. There's about a 50-50 chance that that's going to work for you because about 50% of the people do get a benefit because they don't reject foreign cells, but the other 50% reject it. So it's a 50-50 that will even work. What we are doing with these is we're activating your original blueprint. There's nothing that's being put into your body. We're just simply turning on that which has been dormant, turning it back on to unring the bell of damage that you might have. So for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can go down the path of getting started on activating your original cells in your body to repair, restore, and regenerate your body to a much younger, happier, healthier state. Literally, you are actually balancing your brain, your left and your right brain hemisphere as you wear these patches. And if you're willing to buy these in bulk, by 3 months in advance or more, then you can get the price down to as much as 50%. You can go to our website and you'll see that just a month's supply. So there's 30 patches in each one of these. These are called sleeves. So a sleeve is a special envelope design made of cardboard to protect the patches from light and from the elements. And so this envelope is called a sleeve. So each one of these has 30 patches in them. So this is $149 each. So 5 times 30 is $149. $149.95 to be exact, $150 basically. So when you get started, let's say you were to get started with the mother and the daughter cell activation patch, that's $300 for these two by themselves on the retail if you go directly to the retail site. But when we get you started on a Dr. Wholesale pack, you can get 4. You can get these two, and let's say as an example, let's say you have pain. For people who have pain, let's say 2 of these. two of these pain management patches. These are the only patches we have that turn off your pain receptors. And now you would get 4 for the price of 2 for the $2.99. If you're willing to pay, if you're willing to buy them in advance, then you could get a diamond pack where you can get 19 months of just the mother cell activation patch, or we can customize this for you based on what your needs are. If you get on a plan that we have called the Fantastic 5, that would give you, you would be paying for 3 months in advance for 5 different types of patches. And then they bonus you 10 to 12 free patches when you get that diamond pack. So now that brings the price down to about 50%, which is a significant drop in price. All right. So let's see, what else do I want to share? Oh, for you to learn more, get back to the person who referred you to this broadcast. You can read about our 90 clinical studies or the 120 global patents by going to startx39now.com. You can also ask for the To Get Started text. What else should I say here? There's the to get started text. Always get back to the person who referred you to this video, because they can always direct you on how to get started. If I invited you, of course, you can call this number, or anyone on my team can call this number, and we can get the To Get Started text, and we'll make sure that you're properly started. Everybody gets a patch placement Zoom where we can tailor things to you, because we want to make sure that things are always tailored to you. For stories of transformation, because you'll see plenty of testimonials from people that I've put on the patches, you can go to my YouTube channel. It's called Love and Money Secrets TV. Or if it's easier for you to remember my name, DameLillianWalker.com. That URL will point towards this YouTube channel. Last little chance to get the bullet points and a nice little graphic for those of you who are interested in that. I already told you to remember to get back to the person who referred you. For those of you who are interested in the EE system and patching event that I have going on April 27th from 6 p.m. at night, it's going to be an overnight stay till 8 a.m. Call me for details, call our hotline, call or text, doesn't matter, you can do either. Only 10 spots, we have 6 spots left. So thank you for your time and attention. If there are no other questions, I'll let you guys go. Are we good?
Thank you. Night.
All right. Good night, Myra. Good night, Carol. Have a great one.